Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Ink Studios. I'm your host Ink, and today's sketchbook story time is going to be the story of Blizzard, my rescue dog. So, this was originally supposed to be one of the options for a topic of discussion on the colored Wendigo piece, but there were so many votes on both of the options that I decided for the Wendigo piece I will actually do Wendigo lore, history, whatever, and that I would do the story of Blizzard for another video. So that's what I'm going to do for this video. So for those of you who have been with my channel for a while, you know that I ran an exotic animal rescue for a few years. Exotic specifically. It started off originally just reptiles. That was all I wanted to do. Lizards, snakes, possibly invertebrates, arachnids, tarantulas, things that most people didn't want. That was the goal. And would have probably remained the goal if people didn't drop off duffel bags full of ferrets on the front steps of the rescue, or just leave bird cages in front of the building. And it got a little out of hand, and I decided to prepare for everything exotic instead of just scaly or insect exotics. So in doing that, I tried the very best that I could to make sure that I would be ready for anything. Anything exotic, that is. I had a pretty strict policy about we do not take in cats, dogs, guinea pigs, the standard, because there are rescues all over our area for those kinds of animals. They don't really need the extra attention. Not attention. They don't need an extra rescue because there are so many in the area that handle those. I specifically wanted to do exotics because there's not an exotics rescue in my immediate area. So, part of what I did for this rescue to try and, make money for the obscene amount of vet bills that occurred was I got frozen mice donations for snake food. Sometimes I would get so many frozen mice donations that it would fill up the entire freezer, and I would not have room for anything else. So sometimes I would sell bulk bags of frozen feeder mice. So I had a couple of contacts through which I did that. One of them was ecstatic to have gotten this massive bag of frozen feeder mice for way cheaper than he would have had to pay for it in stores, and said, if the rescue ever needs anything, give me a call. Didn't know this dude, didn't know anything about him, but that'll be important later. So, one night, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and my phone goes off. This was not uncommon when I was running the rescue. Most of it was not serious, but the people calling me felt it was serious, and I felt it was my obligation to answer. I was on call 24/7. So, I get a call 2 o'clock in the morning, assuming that it's probably this lady who's been having a little trouble with her bearded dragon, who isn't eating as much as he should, and, his shed's a little bit off. My advice is always, take your animal to a vet, really, unless it's something that's super, super obvious and really easily fixed. Always take your animal to a vet. That is your best bet if you are concerned about them not being well. But she had been calling me a lot over that week, and I assumed it was her. Deep breath, prepare to deal with the situation. And the person on the line, when I picked up the phone, sobbing hysterically. And it took me a couple minutes of, are you okay? What's the matter? Who is this? Who is calling me? For her to calm down enough to tell me, look, I know you're an exotics rescue, but this is an emergency. And I'm deep breath and, oh God, what is it that you have? And she said, so there's this dog. And I'm just like, no, I don't do dogs, I have cats at my rescue location who obviously wander around as they please. I have free-roaming tortoises. And, you know, everybody gets their time out of their enclosures separately. I can't have a dog running around. And there's just not enough space. There's just not. And this lady is crying and I said, there's a million rescues around here who take dogs everywhere. Everywhere takes dogs. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Nobody's open and he has to be gone before 7 o'clock in the morning. Which is the first major red flag. He's got to be gone, or else what? Or else the sheriff is going to come and put him down. What did he do? Because that's my first whatever. If this dog attacked someone, you know, so she tells me he's great with kids. He's great with cats. He's just not great with other dogs. Not an issue for me. I have no dogs. I run an exotics rescue. I was still pretty on edge about it, though. And I'm just like, look, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can refer you to somebody. And she's like, no, he has to go right now or they're gonna kill him. And I'm just sitting there like, I feel terrible and I love animals and I really want to help. But at the same time, I'm working multiple jobs plus the rescue, which means I get like 4 hours of sleep a night and the rest of my day is completely full of work. I couldn't possibly have time for a dog, right? And she said, just let me show you a picture of him. Let me text you a picture. For those of you who are familiar with my channel, you may also recall that I've had an affinity for wolves since I was toddling around in a diaper. Love wolves. Super passionate. Love wolves, you know? And she sends me a picture of this giant white wolf dog. I mean, just gorgeous, massive, massive paws, massive ears, gorgeous wolf-looking dog. And she's like, please, just please. And I'm like, how do I always get conned into this poop? I'm like, all right, where are you? And she tells me where she is, and she's over an hour and a half away. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. And this lady's crying, please, please, anything, just anything that you can do, please. So I think of an idea. This guy that I have only met once, who bought frozen feeders off of me like the day before, who said, hey, if the rescue ever needs anything, because I don't drive, you know, so the rescue for me is I'm either cabbing or people are volunteering, and the majority of the animals that get dropped off. If someone needs me to do a pickup, I find a volunteer to bring me to them, because I very strictly do not drive. I do not like driving. That's an entirely other story time. So I'm like, give me a few minutes. I'll see what I can do. So I call up this dude who happens to be awake. And I'm just like, so you said if there was anything the rescue ever needed. Yeah, so I hitched a ride with a person that I had only ever met once. My sister Ivy insisted on coming with me. And so we all crammed into this little space and drove for an hour and a half to go pick up this massive white wolf dog. Keep in mind, another story time, Ivy's terrified of dogs. Like, she can learn to love them very, very much, but at first glance, Ivy is terrified of dogs, and with good reason. So for her to even want to come with me to go get this thing, So, drive all the way there. Get there, middle of the night, and this lady and this guy bring him down, and, you know, thank you so much, we really appreciate it, can you send us pictures? And I told him, look, I'm not going to keep this dog is not going to be my pet. I run a rescue, I rehome animals. I will bring him to the vet, get him all checked out, get him a new tag license, whatever, and then he's going home with someone else. And if they want to send you pictures, they can do that, but I can't guarantee that you're going to be able to call him up on the phone if you want to, because this is a rescue, and the objective of a rescue is to find these animals other homes, not to keep them all with me forever. So, my sister doesn't cower in fear at this giant, massive, wolfy looking dog running down a hill and getting all excited, which was shocking because you know, I've seen smaller black labs on leashes try and like waddle up to her and she's just like, ah, keep it away from me, you know? But her and this dog just instantly, I love him, I love him. And I'm just like, oh God, I can see where this is going. And by the time that we got back with him, she was enamored. This giant thing taking up all of the seats on top of me and Ivy because he's just that big. And I'll admit, I was a little enamored with him myself by the time that we got back. But I was also still in the intellectual part of, I don't have time for a dog. You know, he's not a snake that sits in a tank and gets his hour out of his tank every day and then that's it. This is a dog who needs to be walked for God knows how long. He's a big dog, and the claim was that he was a Malamute Shepherd mix. That was what they said. But the size of those paws and the size of those ears and the honeycomb in his eyes, I honestly think there's a good possibility he might have been part wolf. And oh my God, the energy. And I know that Malamutes are high energy and that shepherds can be high energy. Oh my God, the energy on this dog was impossible. Oh my goodness. Like, if the rescue had a yard, he could have ran laps in that yard all day long and not stopped. Just stopped to eat and drink and then keep running. That's what so much energy, you know? And I'm just trying to tell Ivy, neither one of us has the time to give this animal what it needs. And Ivy doesn't like not getting her way. And Ivy's puppy dog face goes pretty far with me, but not as far as all three of my little siblings puppy dog facing me at the same time. So the very next day, you know what she did, don't you? Oh, well, she had to invite my two little brothers over to meet the dog. Yeah. So, Crow, Enigma, and Ivy are all gathered around this giant, beautiful animal that is just giant and beautiful. And they're all looking at me with that face, begging me, can we keep it, can we keep it, can we keep it, he's ours, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, why do you people do this to me? So he stayed at the rescue for a while. I had volunteers, I had Ivy, my mom volunteered to take him for walks. That was how much my mom loved this animal. And he got his exercise, and he got his food, and he got his space. But the time came, you know, where the rescue shut down, and me living with a dog was not going to be an option. And I told Ivy, you know, I think it's time. You know, we've enjoyed him, he's enjoyed us. But this was a rescue. He was meant to be somewhere else. And my mom steps up and says, absolutely not. He's gonna stay with me. And as a temporary solution, it seemed like an okay idea, but adoption was still the end goal. Until Blizzard started alerting my mom to Nigma's seizures. My brother Nigma has a really bad seizure disorder. He has grand mal seizures where he bites through his lips and turns blue. And they're bad and they're scary. And Blizzard started barking at my mom's door until she let him in, and then dragging her to his room right before he dropped and had a crazy seizure. And at that point, when my mom said, we can't not have him. He is helping your brother. That was it for me. He's helping my brother. He could mean the difference between whether my brother lives or does not. If he were to drop and have a seizure in the middle of the night and my mom didn't catch it, he could stop breathing and die. I can't separate them now. So for a while, everything seemed okay. my mom is not the most responsible pet owner, but everything seemed alright until Blizzard started busting out the windows. You'll remember why it was that he needed to be rehomed to begin with. Because he wasn't good with other dogs. So when he busted out of the window in the middle of a city area, the first thing that he did was found another person walking a dog. When he was with me, we were working on training him. It had gotten to the point where I could walk him down the street and he could see another dog and he would lock eyes with me and keep eye contact with me until he had passed that other dog. I had told my mom when she agreed and wanted to take him in, you have to keep training him. This isn't gonna leave his mind just because he's doing better right now. You have to keep training him. And it didn't happen. And he hurt somebody else's dog. And it was devastating, but the dog was okay, and my mom paid the vet bills and whatever. And then it kept happening. Not necessarily him attacking other dogs, but him finding ways out. There was a few months where he didn't get out at all. We thought the issue was over. And then summer hit. And the air conditioner was put in the window. Improperly. So he knocked it out and he got out. And this time he actually killed somebody else's dog. And that was it. Animal control was sick of this anyway. Not of him, because he's an animal and it's not his fault. But pretty annoyed with my mom for letting this continue to happen. And that was it. And she lost him. And what happened to him from there, I can't say for certain. I can say that our whole family was pretty devastated, and it was hard for all of us. And that was our time with Blizzard, who trouble dogs need training. I am not what you would call a dog person. Generally, I enjoy my exotics. I loved that dog. And while I am not in any way a professional on the subject, all I can say is that if you've got a troubled dog that is likely to hurt another animal, training is so important. It could mean the difference between whether or not you get to keep your dog or not, or whether your dog gets put down or not. If you've got an aggressive dog, get it trained. No animal is beyond training. Every animal can learn to be good. And I wish that had been what happened with Blizzard, but it wasn't. And it's very, very sad. So, that is my time, my story of my life, Blizzard's life with me. And I guess the only thing really to add on to that story is his name was not Blizzard because he was a big floofy white dog. His name was Blizzard because his owners actually drove across the country in a blizzard to go pick him up when he was born. So, there's a little fun information for you. I will stick a picture on right here of him. That is Blizzard. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, questions, you know where to put them. And I will see you guys in the next one.